G'day, how's it going? Rubber Kitty here. It is hugely foggy this morning. My God, it's like this, the whole Stephen King's The Mist thing going on. I swear. Anyway, I was watching a doco on the Vietnam War, and it was interesting stuff. I never really knew how it actually started, and what brought it about, like all the circumstances and everything that kind of led all the way up to the Vietnam War. And I would recommend sort of researching that and having a look at it, because it actually stems all the way from the colonial French, when they sort of colonized Vietnam at that time. And one of the quotes, or the things that really struck me, is that a lot of, in the documentary, a lot of the people who are actually in the wars don't really talk about it a lot. At that time, the political climate and everything was very, very strained. No one really understood what was going on. It was just a completely different thing to what anyone ever thought of. And one of the quotes is actually from a North Vietnamese person who actually fought in the war. And I put the quote in my post to say basically that, you know, in war no one really wins or loses. There's just a whole lot of destruction that goes on, and that's true. When there's a war, you notice a lot of, one thing I have noticed a lot is that no matter what, after a lot of wars, and I've seen a lot of people in the military, when they meet people from the opposing side, there is actually, I mean, aside from the whole camaraderie of, like, you know, and there is actually camaraderie too, where there's soldiers, they might have their own views on politics and political ideals, but they also know that they are pretty much the same throughout the whole world, the whole whatever, the universe, whatever, is that they have something in common, is that they all served for the country, they served for an ideal, and they protected people regardless of what they thought of them, regardless of the differing opinions. They fought for something a lot bigger than them, than just them. And I find that really interesting when there are people from opposing sides, kind of like footy matches and stuff like that, is that after the game they might rib each other endlessly, but they still find a common ground. So in that there is destruction in war, that is true, but there is also I guess a hope, a reasoning, and some things that you learn from that. And I also looked up, one of my favourite quotes is one from Teddy Roosevelt, which is that for those of us who fight, life takes on a flavour that the sheltered will never know. And it strikes me that there's quite a few people in this day and age who, and myself included, who've never actually really put their whole life on the line, like physically their life on the line, for ideals and principles. And there's quite a few people that are not willing to put a lot of their reputation, their sanity, their everything on the line. You see it a lot with some political groups, but it's not just politics. It's also about your own personal principles and integrity and what you are and aren't willing to do. So you don't really have to put your life on the line, but there are some things that you hold dear to you, some things that you as a person, even though it could be an easier shortcut, that you just won't do because of the principles, your own personal ethics that you've developed to put forward, and you hold to that even though it can be challenging at times, and people will take advantage of that. So That's a pretty serious subject for the morning. I think it might be appropriate given the amount of fog. You see right there, huge amounts of fog. But yeah, one thing to remember is that a lot of people have reasons for doing things, and it's important to understand that just because their reasons are not your reasons doesn't make them as invalid, and that even though people have different reasons for banding together to fight for a cause or to stick with their guns or to not do something, that doesn't mean that they are actually against you or your enemy. And that's the beauty of, people. They're all different, all the reasons are different. We find a lot of common ground, but you're all individuals. So I'm going to enjoy this misty morning, and I'm going to think about this morning and probably over the weekend a lot about reasons why people do things. Not too deeply, but also thinking about the reasons why I do things. And I like to confirm stuff such as, I'm doing this because these are my principles, and I'm not wavering from that as hard as things can get, because there's just some things in life that you just do because that's just you, and you ought to celebrate that. Okay? Anyways, I am going to go off and enjoy the misty morning, and I hope you guys have a lovely day and a lovely weekend and enjoy yourself immensely. Okay? Love you guys.